This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. The state's health minister is being called on to offer more support to drug users, with opposition parties arguing the government is doing little to address the growing problem. The call comes after it was yesterday revealed Tasmanian regional areas have some of the highest levels of ice use in the country.
It's been confirmed that Tasmanians in regional areas are using methamphetamine more than those in many parts of the country. Now, opposition parties say action needs to be taken.
We're calling on the Minister for Health to make it very clear in this year's budget that he's going to put some serious money into treatment services in regional areas and early intervention. What we're doing isn't working.
The Australian Criminal Intelligence Commission used wastewater treatment plants to get the snapshot of the country's drug and alcohol use. It also found MDMA consumption levels were remarkable at one regional Tasmanian site, but it will not publicly disclose where that area is.
This report highlights that we do need to do more in Tasmania, and we know the government has taken some action, but they were quite slow to act when they first came to power. So I hope that this encourages them to do more.
The government says it's doing what it can.
We've identified $4.8 million of additional funding to provide further support for alcohol and drug issues in Tasmania. Obviously, this is an area of very strong focus.
Tasmania Police says the report will assist with its operations. Meanwhile, as pressure increases at the Royal Hobart Hospital in the lead up to winter, Labor is pushing for a parliamentary inquiry into the ongoing bed crisis.
Parliamentary inquiry would cut through the spin, provide options to discuss the facts and look at how we're going to provide solutions to this really bad problem.
The Health Minister staying away from the cameras today. Instead, he released a statement saying the government has already this month announced 27 new beds for the South to help ease patient overflow issues. Monika Dadson at Southern Cross News.
The government has today announced a significant boost for Flinders Island, with $1.5 million being injected into the local economy. Meanwhile, in what's being hailed a significant boost for young people on the island, the local school is being extended to offer years 11 and 12 from next year. The school's principal says this is a major step forward for students who now have the option to remain at home until they finish school.
So whichever way they go, those students that do remain here will be able to follow the pathway and follow the aspirations that they've got and also that their families have got for them as well.
Knowing that you're going to be able to move here, have roots and be able to stay here in the long term.
I'd much prefer to stay here with my family.
For the last few years, all Year 10 students have been forced to travel to Launceston to complete their education. The surviving victim of Klaus Deaton Ebert's daylight shooting in Newtown in May 2015 has increased the amount she is seeking in compensation. Ebert is now being sued for almost $2.5 million by Josephine Ramos Cooper for loss of income and future care costs. The Supreme Court heard that amount has increased by $1 million in 2 weeks. The Hobart man has already been found guilty of causing Miss Cooper grievous bodily harm by shooting her in the hand in the same incident he killed his estranged wife. Ebert's defence lawyer today asked for the civil trial to be adjourned as he has not yet been able to access any of Miss Cooper's medical evidence. The matter will resume tomorrow morning. A 23-year-old who pleaded guilty to 1 count of armed robbery appeared in the Hobart Supreme Court today. Benjamin Robert Joseph was due to be sentenced over the Sandy Bay pharmacy incident, which occurred in October last year. Justice Michael Brett today requesting further evidence be provided in regards to the victim's condition. Joseph was remanded in custody to reappear at the Supreme Court via video link on April 3. Tasmania Police is investigating a report of a man allegedly entering a private Latrobe yard and attempting to speak with children. The incident occurred on Friday morning. Police say the public shouldn't be alarmed but should be alert. The man is described as being in his mid-30s with short black greying hair and a goatee. Anyone with information should contact Crime Stoppers. In what can be an unforgiving and at times thankless occupation, a lunch today encouraging rural women to put their feet up, hosted at the historic Vaucluse homestead. It's the second time the agricultural sector has supported the event.
It's basically a day to say thank you to rural women, to give them a day off where they don't have to be in the fields or working hard or looking after the family, and just a day where it's just about just having some downtime.
The lunch also raising money for the charity Brave Hearts. The countdown is on to the Tyre Power Tasmania Super Sprint Championships. Supercars contender Fabian Coulthard stopping by Symonds Plains to inspect the upgraded raceway 11 days out from the event.
Hot off the back of yesterday's Grand Prix success, the New Zealander says he's ready for a repeat here in Tassie.
We were able to come away with 3 race wins for the team. We got our first 1-2 finish for the Shell V-Power racing team, so that in itself is a pretty big milestone. It's good to see a smile back on Dick Johnson's face.
The Virgin Australia Supercars round returning to Symonds Plains and secured in Tasmania until 2019, a move backed by the state government.
The biggest single sporting event in Tasmania, and it draws a huge crowd, of course, somewhere between 50 and 60,000 people. It's magnificent for the area, for the northern part of the state in particular. Of course, it fills up the accommodation.
The track itself undergoing a $2 million upgrade, bringing it in line with international standards.
The hairpin, where a car got stuck last year, where Van Gisbergen got stuck last year, that's having a bit of asphalt put into it. And turn 7, where they were tearing the edge of the track up, where they ran off the edge, has got a fairly decent length of 30 metres of concrete strip.
The Supercars action will get underway on April 7. And as for the final preparation, that's now a job for the weather gods.
Loves to have some rain at the moment. She's as dry as anything here at the moment, but so it is a paddock, but hopefully we'll get it a bit more groomed before they arrive.
Jessie Gilmore, Southern Cross News.
6 days and 180 kilometres later, Undie runner Braden Hayes is going strong in honouring his pledge to run from Hobart to Burnie over a T20 Big Bash result. Despite nursing a weak knee, Hayes says the run has been good for his tan.
Yeah, the girls give me a little bit of grief the first couple of days. I had a nice little singlet tan going, but a couple of days in the sun, not so much today, but a couple of days in the sun's got rid of that singlet tan.
So far, the run has raised $12,000 for charity. Braden is on track to arrive in Burnie on April 1. A Hobart hotel is closed until further notice after a fire broke out in its kitchen late last night. Fire crews spent an hour extinguishing the blaze at Hotel Soho on Davey Street. No one was inside at the time and there was no external damage. The bill is estimated at $350,000 worth of damage.
It could have been a lot worse if the premise hadn't been monitored, the smoke detection there hadn't been monitored. We figured that if we had been 10 minutes later, it could have been significantly worse than the $350,000.
The Tasmania Fire Service confirming the fire was caused by an electrical fault. Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market has closed lower, with the major miners weighing heavily on the index following a slump in iron ore futures. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 6.8 points. Short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 76.33 US cents and 84.26 Japanese yen.
Hobart Hurricanes slinger Shaun Tate has announced his retirement from cricket, a persistent elbow injury forcing the 34-year-old Quick to bow out of the game.
Tate signed with the Hurricanes for BBL 5 and still had the venom that had made him one of the world's most feared bowlers. He took 10 wickets from 8 matches in that tournament and earned Team of the Year selection. But after a decent start in BBL 6, an elbow injury reared its head. Tate found himself dropped from the team and when he was reselected had lost his trademark pace. Today he officially called time on his career but has vowed to stay involved in cricket. Football and the Tassie Mariners have impressed in their first hit out of the year against the Northern Territory in Sydney, running away with a 49-point win. For most it was their first taste of under-18 representative footy.
Now, you're coming up against blokes that have the same goals and ambitions as you do. They're trying to get noticed, trying to get drafted.
It's early days, but the likes of Nick Hutchison and Chase Jones could find themselves on AFL radars by season's end.
Our first job is to get the side playing well. So the young blokes can put their hand up, get into the Allies side, and from there get a chance at having a crack at the recruiters looking at them.
In soccer, Hobart Zebras import Nicholas Gronewald is loving life. The Chicago native finding himself right in the midst of a championship tilt. The club hoping to break a 10-year title drought.
I think the guys here, it's been a long time for them, and they're waiting to win a championship, and I think this year could be a good year.
He's floated forward to find the back of the net on 2 occasions in the first 3 rounds, but he's a defender by trade.
Obviously, my job is to keep the goals out, but if I can help chip in the attack on set pieces and stuff, I do like to do that as well.
Zebras sit atop the NPL table following a sharp 3-0 win over South Hobart. And Chargers women's import Kathleen Shear has earned herself Seabull Player of the Round honours for her 24-13 rebound effort against the Launceston Tornadoes on Saturday night.
Good evening. Hobart 29 today, Launceston 24, Burnie 20 and Devonport 21. 30 was the high at Friendly Beaches and Denali, and after known rain to 9 a.m, conditions did change quickly for some, with the front bringing in the rain today. Best fall was 18 millimetres at Mount Reid. Low Rocky Point recorded 17 to 3 p.m. Some temperatures up to 8 above average. Campania 29, Grove and Fingal 28, St Helens 27, Bushy Park and Flinders Island 26, King Island and Strawn 25 today, Lowhead 21, Wynyard a top of 20 degrees. Well, as we know and felt, the frontal cloud crossed the state today. Speckled cloud is there in its wake in that cold air mass over the Great Australian Bight. Tropical cyclone Debbie is off Queensland, and as you may have heard earlier in the bulletin, it's due to make landfall near Bowen at breakfast time in the morning. And there's the close-up and the cover over our region as the front took over today. Tomorrow, another front moves over waters south of the Bight. The high persists over the Tasman Sea, and the new position of severe tropical cyclone Debbie over Queensland. Winds west-northwesterly at 10 to 20 knots, but reaching 30 to 40 knots over the west and south. Swells to 4 metres in western waters and 5 metres in the south. Gale warning for waters between Tasman Island and Low Rocky Point. Strong wind warning from Low Rocky Point to Stanley. A small craft wind alert for the lakes. Partly cloudy in Hobart, 22 tomorrow. 23 for Adventure Bay and partly cloudy as well. Tarraleah some cloud and 17 degrees. Launceston 21, 21 for Devonport, still cloudy. A possible shower for Bridport, a top of 20 degrees. For Burnie, a possible shower, 21 the top, 20 for Strawn, Marrawar a shower and 20, while for St Helens tomorrow mostly sunny and 22, 22 as well for Swansea, and Whitemark a possible shower, 22 degrees. UV, that's high and 6 for the entire state. On Wednesday, showers over the north and west extending statewide by evening. Showers easing on Thursday before contracting to the west and south during the morning. Fine on Friday apart from an isolated shower over the west, far south and Bass Strait Islands. Partly cloudy for Perth, Sydney and Brisbane tomorrow. Sunny conditions for Adelaide and Melbourne. A late shower forecast for Cairns and a storm over Darwin. Partly cloudy at the moment, 16 in Hobart, 14 in Launceston, 17 in Devonport. Joe, Tas Networks have reported that there's quite a few outages due to the severe weather and also a few other issues with the network. Let's hope all the power can get back on soon.
Let's hope so. Thanks so much for that, Murph. Well, that's all from the news team for now. Thanks so much for your company. We will, of course, see you throughout the evening with those updates. But for now, let's say goodnight.